Chapter 13. He doesn't have a girlfriend. I managed to get that information out of Trish on Sunday night under the guise of asking about all the neighbors. There was some girl in Gloucester apparently, but that was all over months ago. The way is clear. I just need a strategy. As I shower and get dressed the next morning, I'm totally fixated by thoughts of Nathaniel. I'm aware I've reverted to the behavior of a 14-year-old, that next I'll be doodling, Samantha loves Nathaniel, with a love heart dotting the I. But I don't care. It's not as though being a mature, level-headed professional was working out so great for me. I brush my hair, looking out at the misty green fields, and feel inexplicably lighthearted. I have no reason to feel this way. On paper, everything is still catastrophic. My fast-track career is over. My family has no idea where I am. I'm earning a fraction of what I used to for a job that involves picking up other people's dirty underwear off the floor. And yet I find myself humming as I straighten my bed. My life has changed and I'm changing with it. It's as if the old conventional monochrome Samantha has faded away into a paper doll. I've thrown her into the water and she's melting away to nothing. And in her place is a new me. A me with possibilities. I've never gone after men before, but then, until yesterday, I'd never basted a chicken before. If I can do that, I can ask a man out, surely. The old Samantha would have sat back and waited to be approached. Well, not the new Samantha. I've seen the dating shows on TV. I know the rules. It's all about looks and body language and flirty conversation. I walk over to the mirror and, for the first time since I've arrived here, examine my appearance with an honest, unflinching eye. At once I regret it. Ignorance is better. For a start, how can anyone look good in a blue nylon overall? I reach for a belt, fasten it around my middle, and hitch up my overall until the skirt is about 3 inches shorter, like we used to do at school. Hi, I say to my reflection and casually toss back my hair. Hi, Nathaniel. Hi, Nat. All I need now is lots of black eyeliner badly applied, and I'll be back to my 14-year-old self in every single way. I reach for my makeup bag and spend about 10 minutes alternately applying and removing makeup until I've got something that looks natural and subtle, yet defined. Or else, like I've wasted 10 minutes, I have no idea. Now to the body language. I wrinkle at my forehead, trying to remember the rules from TV. If a woman is attracted to a man, her pupils will dilate. Also, she will unconsciously lean forward, laugh at his jokes, and expose her wrists and palms. Experimentally, I lean toward my reflection, holding out my hands as I do so. I look like Jesus. I try adding a flirty laugh. Ha ha ha, I exclaim out aloud. You just crack me up. Now I look like a cheerful Jesus. I'm really not sure this is adding to my chances. I head downstairs and draw back the curtains, letting in the bright morning sunshine. I'm picking up the post from the doormat when the doorbell rings. A guy in uniform holding a clipboard is standing outside, a van behind him in the drive. Delivery from Professional Chef's Equipment Direct, he says. Where shall I put the boxes? Oh, right, I say apprehensively. In the kitchen, please, thanks. Professional Chef's Equipment? I guess that would be for me, the professional chef. What's that van, Samantha? Calls Trish, tottering down the stairs in a dressing gown and high-heeled mules. Is it flowers? It's the cookery equipment you ordered for me. Somehow I summon up an enthusiastic front. Oh, good, Trish is delighted. Now you'll be able to stun us with your cooking. It's roasted sea bream with julienne vegetables tonight, isn't it? Yes, I gulp. I suppose it is. Mind your backs. We both jump aside as 2 delivery men troop past with boxes stacked high in their arms. I follow them into the kitchen and watch the growing pile in disbelief. Now, we buy you everything, says Trish as though reading my mind. Go on, open them. I'm sure you can't wait. I fetch a knife and start unpacking the first box, while Trish slits the plastic on another. Out of the profusion of foam, peanuts, and bubble wrap, I lift a gleaming stainless steel something. What on earth is this? I glance quickly at the label on the side of the box. Savarin mold? A Savarin mold, I exclaim. How marvelous. Just what I wanted. We only got 8 of those, says Trish with concern. Is that enough? I look at it helplessly. That should be plenty. Now the saucepans. Trish has ripped open a box of shiny aluminum pans and holds out one to me expectantly. We were told these were the very best quality. Would you agree? As a trained chef. Well, let's just have a look, I say, trying to sound professional. I heft the saucepan appraisingly, then study the bottom, and for good measure ping the surface with my fingernail. Yes, that's a nice quality pan, I say at last. You chose well. Oh, good. Trish beams, delving into another box. And look at this. She scatters foam to reveal a weird-shaped gadget with a wooden handle. I've never even seen one of these. What is it, Samantha? Yikes. What's that? Looks like a cross between a sieve, a grater, and a whisk. I glance quickly at the box for clues, but the label has been torn off. What is it? Says Trish again. This is used for highly specialized cooking technique, I say at last. Highly specialized. What do you do with it? Show me. She thrusts the handle at me. Well, I take the thing from her. It's a kind of whisking circular motion. Keep the wrist light. I beat the air briskly a few times, kind of like that. It's difficult to show properly without the truffles. So what's it called? Says Trish, agog. I've always known it as a truffle beater, I say at last, but it could have some other name as well. Why don't I make you a cup of coffee, I add quickly, and I'll unpack everything else later. I switch on the kettle, reach for the coffee pot, and glance out the window. Nathaniel is striding across the lawn. Oh gosh, full crush alert. Full 100% old-fashioned adolescent crush. I cannot take my eyes off him. The sunlight is catching the ends of his tawny hair, and he's wearing ancient faded jeans. As I watch, he picks up some huge sack of something, swings around easily, and throws it onto something that might be a compost heap. My mind is suddenly filled with the fantasy of him picking me up in exactly the same way, swinging me around easily in his big, strong arms. I mean, it can't be that much heavier than a sack of potatoes. So, how was your weekend off, Samantha? Trish breaks my thoughts. We barely saw you. Did you go into town? I went to Nathaniel's house, I reply without thinking. Nathaniel? Trish sounds astonished. The gardener? Why? I immediately realize my huge mistake. I can't exactly say to have cooking lessons. I try to fabricate an instant convincing reason. Just to say hello, really, I say at last, aware that I sound tongue-tied, and also that my cheeks are turning pink. Trish's face suddenly snaps in comprehension, and her eyes open very wide. Oh, I see, she says, how adorable. No, I say quickly, it's not. Honestly, don't worry. Trish cuts me off emphatically. I won't say a word. I am discretion itself. She puts a finger to her lips. You can rely on me. Before I can say anything else, she picks up her coffee and heads out of the kitchen. I sit down amid all the kitchen stuff and packaging and fiddle with the truffle beater. That was awkward, but I suppose it doesn't really matter, as long as she doesn't say anything inappropriate to Nathaniel. Then I realize I'm being stupid. Of course she'll say something inappropriate to Nathaniel. She'll make some oh-so-subtle innuendo, and then who knows what he'll think. This could be really embarrassing. This could ruin everything. I must go and make the situation quite clear to him that Trish misunderstood me and I do not have a crush on him, while obviously making it clear that I do. I force myself to wait until I've done breakfast for Trish and Eddie, tidied the new kitchen equipment away, mixed up some olive oil and lemon zest, and put tonight's sea bream fillets into it, just as Iris taught me. Then I hitch up my uniform a bit more, add some more eyeliner for luck, and head out into the garden holding a basket I found in the larder. If Trish wants to know what I'm doing, I'm gathering herbs for cooking. I find Nathaniel in the orchard behind the old wall, standing on a ladder, tying some rope around a tree. As I make my way toward him, I'm ridiculously nervous. My mouth feels dry, and did my legs just wobble? Gosh, you'd think I'd have some poise. You'd think being a lawyer for 7 years would have prepared me a bit better. Ignoring my jitters as best I can, I walk up to the ladder, toss back my hair, and wave up to him, trying not to squint in the sun. Hi. Hi, Nathaniel smiles back. How's it going? Fine, thanks. Much better. No disasters yet. There's a pause. I suddenly realize I'm gazing a little too hard at his hands as they tighten the rope. I was just after some rosemary. I gesture to my basket if you have any. Sure, I'll cut you some. He jumps down off the ladder and we walk along the path toward the herb garden. It's totally silent down here away from the house, apart from the odd buzzing insect and the crunch of gravel on the path. I try to think of something light and easy to say, but my brain is blank. It's hot, I manage at last. Nathaniel nods and steps up easily over the stone wall into the herb garden. I try to follow him with a light springing step and catch my foot on the wall. Ow, fuck. Alright, Nathaniel turns. Fine. Even though my foot is throbbing with agony. Wow, this is amazing. I look around the garden in genuine admiration. It's laid out in a hexagonal shape with little paths between the sections. Tiny dark green hedges act as borders and topiary spheres mark the corners. Lavender stems are gently waving and old stone planters interspersed with tubs of some tiny white flower that smells of honey. Did you do all this? I peer at a bed of plants that I think might be oregano. It's absolutely stunning. Thanks. I'm pleased with it. Nathaniel sounds offhand, but I can tell he's gratified. Anyway, your rosemary. He pulls out a pair of cicatures from an old leather holster type thing and starts clipping in a dark green spiky bush. Okay, I have to say what I've come to say. So, it's really weird. I begin as lightly as I can, fingering the scented leaves of some bushy plant. But Trish seems to have got the wrong idea about us. She seems to think we're, he nods, his face averted, which is obviously ridiculous, I add. He clips some more rosemary sprigs and holds them up. This enough for you? That's it? That's all he has to say on the subject. Actually, I'd like some more, I say. And he turns back to the bush. So, isn't it ridiculous, I add, trying to prod him into a proper answer. Well, of course. At last, Nathaniel looks at me properly. You won't be wanting to get into anything for a while. Not so soon after a bad relationship. I look at him blankly. What on earth? Oh, yes, my bad relationship. Right, I say after a pause. Yes, that. Damn it. Why did I go along with the bad relationship story? What was I thinking? Here's your rosemary. Nathaniel puts a fragrant bundle into my arms. Anything else? Yes, I say quickly. Could I have some mint? I watch as he moves carefully over the rows of herbs to where mint is growing in large stone containers. Actually, I force myself to sound careless. Actually, the relationship wasn't that bad. In fact, I think I pretty much got over it. Nathaniel looks up, shading his eyes against the sun. You've got over a 7-year relationship in a week. Now that he puts it like that, it does sound a bit implausible. I cast around quickly in my mind. I have great reserves of resilience, I say at last. I'm like rubber. Rubber, he echoes, his expression unreadable. Was rubber a bad choice of word? No, come on, rubber is sexy. Nathaniel adds the mint to the rosemary in my arms. Mom said... He pauses awkwardly. What? I say, a little breathless. They've been talking about me? Mom wondered if you'd been badly treated. He shifts his gaze away. You're so tense and twitchy. I'm not tense and twitchy, I retort at once. Well, maybe that was a little tense and twitchy. I'm naturally twitchy, I explained, but I wasn't badly treated or anything like that. I always felt trapped. The word comes out to my own surprise. I have a flash in my life at Carter Spink, constantly at the beck and call of senior partners, practically living at the office some weeks, taking piles of work home with me, answering emails at every hour. Maybe I did feel a little bit trapped. But I'm fine now. I shake back my hair, ready to move on and start a new relationship or something more casual, whatever. I gaze up at him, trying as hard as I can to dilate my pupils and casually lifting my hand to my ear for good measure. There is a still tense silence broken only by the buzzing of insects. You probably shouldn't rush into anything new, Nathaniel says. He moves away without meeting my eye and starts examining the leaves on a shrub. There's a stiffness in his back. I feel a rush of blood to my face. He's letting me down lightly. He doesn't want to go out with me. Hark, this is hideous. Here I am, with my hitched up skirt and eyeliner, employing all the body language I know, basically just offering myself to him, and he's trying to let me know he's not interested. I'm mortified. I have to get away from here, from him. You're right, I say flustered. It's far too soon to think about anything like that. In fact, it would be a terrible idea. I'm just going to focus on my new job, cooking and so forth. I must get on. Thanks for the herbs. Anytime, says Nathaniel. Yes, well, I'll see you. Clasping the bundle more tightly, I turn on my heel, step over the wall, managing not to bash my foot this time, and stride back along the gravel path up to the house. I am beyond embarrassed. So much for whole new Samantha. That is the last time I ever go after a man, ever. My original strategy of waiting politely, being ignored, and then being passed over for someone else was a million times better. Anyway, I don't care. It's for the best, really. Because I do have to concentrate on my work. As soon as I get back to the house, I set up the ironing board, plug in the coffee, turn on the radio, and make a nice strong cup of coffee. This is going to be my focus from now on, getting my tasks for the day done, not some ridiculous crush on the gardener. I'm being paid to do a job here, and I'm going to do it. By mid-morning, I've ironed 10 shirts, put a load of laundry on, and hoovered the conservatory. By lunchtime, I've dusted and hoovered all the downstairs rooms and polished all the mirrors with vinegar. By tea time, I put on another load of laundry, shredded my vegetables in the food processor, measured out the wild rice to be steamed, and carefully prepared 4 phyllo pastry cases for my tart stiff fruit, as Iris taught me. By 7 o'clock, I've thrown away 1 lot of burned phyllo cases, baked another 4, topped them with strawberries, and finished with heated up apricot jam. I've pan-fried the vegetable shreds in olive oil and garlic till they're soft. I've blanched my French beans. I've put the sea bream in the oven. I've also taken more than a few sips of vermouth meant for the coolie. That's neither here nor there. My face is bright red and my heart is beating fast, and I'm moving around the kitchen in a kind of speeded up reality, but I feel okay. In fact, I almost feel exhilarated. Here I am, actually cooking a meal all on my own, and I'm just about on top of it. Apart from the mushroom fiasco, but they're safely in the bin. I've laid the dining table with the mitten china and put candles in the silver candlesticks. I've got a bottle of Prosecco waiting in the fridge and heated plates waiting in the oven. And I've even put Trisha's CD of Enrique Iglesias love songs in the player. I feel like I'm throwing my first dinner party. With a pleasant flutter in my stomach, I smooth down my apron and push open the kitchen door. Mrs. Geyser, Mr. Geyser. What I need is a big gong. Mrs. Geyser, I'd try again. There's absolutely no reply. I would have thought they'd be hovering around the kitchen by now. I fetch a glass and a fork and tinkle one loudly in the other. Nothing. Where are they? I investigate the rooms on the ground floor, but they're all empty. Cautiously, I advance up the stairs. Maybe they're having a joyous sex moment. Should I retreat? Mrs. Geyser, I call hesitantly. Dinner served. I can hear voices from the end of the corridor as I take a few more steps forward. Mrs. Geyser. Suddenly, the bedroom door is violently flung open. What's money for? Comes Trish's shrill voice. Just tell me that. I don't need to tell you what money's for, Eddie is yelling back. Never have. If you understood anything. I understand. Eddie sounds apoplectic. Don't tell me I don't understand. Okay, so probably not a joyous sex moment. I start backing away silently on tiptoe, but it's too late. What about Portugal? Trish shrieks. Do you remember that? She strides out of the room in a whirlwind of pink and stops short as she sees me. Dinner's ready, I mumble, my eyes fixed on the carpet. Madam, if you mention bloody Portugal one more bloody time. Eddie comes marching out of the room. Eddie. Trish cuts him off savagely, then gives a tiny nod toward me. Pas de vent. What? Says Eddie, scowling. Pas de vent le. She wheels her hands as though trying to conjure the missing word. Domestiques. I offer awkwardly. Trish shoots me a flinty look, then draws herself up with dignity. I shall be in my room. It's my bloody room, too, says Eddie furiously. But the door is already being shut. With me dinner, I venture, but Eddie stalks to the stairs, ignoring me. I feel a swell of dismay. If the sea bream isn't eaten soon, it'll get all shriveled. Mrs. Geyser, I knock on the door. I'm just worried the dinner will spoil. So what? Comes back her muffled voice. I'm not in the mood for eating. I stare at the door in disbelief. I've spent a whole bloody day cooking dinner for them. It's all ready. The candles are lit. The plates are in the oven. They can't just not eat it. You have to eat, I cry out, and Eddie stops halfway down the stairs. The bedroom door opens, and Trish looks out in astonishment. What? She says. Okay, play this one carefully. Everyone has to eat, I improvise. It's a human need. So why not discuss your differences over a meal? Or put them on hold. Have a glass of wine and relax and agree not to mention Portugal. As I say the word, I can feel their hackles rising. I'm not the one who mentioned it, growls Eddie. I thought the subject was closed. I only mentioned it because you're so insensitive. Trish brushes a sudden tear from her eye. How do you think I feel being your trophy wife? Trophy? I must not laugh. Trish, to my astonishment, Eddie is hurrying up the stairs. Don't you ever say that. He grips her shoulders and looks her fiercely in the eye. We've always been a partnership. You know that ever since Sydenham. First Portugal, now Sydenham. One day I have to sit Trish down with a bottle of wine and coax her entire life story out of her. I know, whispers Trish. She's gazing up at Eddie as though no one else exists, and I suddenly feel a little pang. They really are in love. I can see the antagonism slowly melting away in their eyes. It's like witnessing a chemical reaction in a test tube. Let's go and eat, says Eddie. Finally, Samantha was right. We should have a nice meal together. Sit down and talk it over. Thank goodness for that. The sea bream will still be just about okay. I only need to put that sauce in a jug. Alright, let's. Trish sniffs. Samantha will be going out to dinner tonight. My smile freezes on my face. Don't worry about cooking for us, puts in Eddie, giving me a jovial pat. You can have a night off. What? But I've cooked, I say quickly. It's done. Oh, well, never mind. Trish makes a vague, dismissive gesture with her hand. Eat it yourself. No. They cannot do this to me. But it's all ready for you downstairs. Roasted fish and julienne vegetables. Where shall we go? Says Trish to Eddie, not listening to a word. Shall we try and get in at the mill house? As I stand there in stupefaction, she disappears into the bedroom, followed by Eddie. The door closes, and I'm left on the landing. My dinner party's ruined. When they've roared out of the drive-in Eddie's Porsche, I go into the dining room and slowly clear everything up. I put away the crystal glasses and fold up the napkins and blow out the candles. Then I head back into the kitchen and look for a moment at all my dishes set out ready for action. My sauce bubbling away in the hob, my carved lemon slice garnishes. I was so proud of everything. Well, there's nothing I can do about it. My sea bream are looking pretty sorry for themselves, but I slip one onto a plate anyway and pour myself a glass of wine. I sit at the table, cut myself a piece and raise it to my mouth. Then I put my knife and fork down without even tasting it. I'm not hungry. A whole wasted afternoon, and tomorrow I've got to do it all over again. The thought makes me feel like sinking my head down onto my arms and never looking up again. What am I doing here? I mean, really, what am I doing? Why am I not walking out right now and getting on a train back to London? As I'm slumped there, I become aware of a faint tapping at the open door, and I look up to see Nathaniel leaning on the door frame, holding his rucksack. Remembering this morning's encounter, I feel a flash of embarrassment. Without quite meaning to, I swivel my chair away slightly and fold my arms. Hi, I say with a tiny, if you think I'm interested in you, you're much mistaken shrug. I thought I'd come and see if you needed any help. His eyes travel around the kitchen at the dishes of untouched food. What happened? They didn't eat it. They went out to dinner. Nathaniel stares at me for a moment, then shakes his head. After you spent all day cooking for them. It's their food, their house. They can do what they like. I'm trying to sound careless and matter of fact, but the disappointment remains heavy inside me. Nathaniel puts down his rucksack and inspects the sea bream. Looks good. Looks like congealed overcooked fish, I correct him. My favorite, he grins, but I'm not in the mood for his good humor. Have some, then I gesture at the dish. No one else is going to eat it. Well, then, shame to waste it. He helps himself to everything, piling his plate ludicrously high, then pours himself a glass of wine and sits down opposite me at the table. To you, Nathaniel raises his glass. Congratulations. Yeah, right. Seriously, Samantha. He waits patiently until I drag my eyes up from the floor. Whether they ate it or not, this is a real achievement. I mean, bloody hell, remember the last dinner you cooked in this kitchen? I give a reluctant smile. The lamb of doom, you mean? The chickpeas, I'll never forget those. He takes a bite of fish. This is good, by the way. An image comes to me of those tiny blackened bullets, myself running around in a frenzy. The meringue dripping on the floor, and in spite of everything, I want to giggle. I've already learned so much since then. Well, of course, that'd have been okay that night, and I say nonchalantly, if you hadn't insisted on helping me. I had it all under control till you got in my way. Nathaniel puts his fork down, still munching, his blue eyes crinkled up with something amusement, maybe. I can feel the telltale heat rising in my cheeks, and as I glance downward, I notice that my hands are resting on the table, palms up, and I'm leaning forward. I realize in sudden horror. My pupils are probably half a mile wide, too. My body language could not be any clearer if I wrote, I fancy you, and felt tip on my forehead. I hastily remove my hands to my lap, sit up straight, and adopt a stony expression. I haven't got over this morning's mortification. In fact, I might take the opportunity to regain my equilibrium. So, I begin just as Nathaniel starts speaking too. Go on. He takes another bite of fish after you. Well, I clear my throat. After our conversation this morning, I was just going to say that you're quite right about relationships. Obviously, I'm not ready for anything new yet, or even interested at all. There, at least I've salvaged my dignity a little. What were you going to say? I asked, pouring more wine into his glass. I was going to ask you out, says Nathaniel, and I nearly flood the table with wine. He what? The body language worked? But not to worry. He takes a gulp of wine. I understand. Backtrack. I need to backtrack very, very quickly, yet subtly, so he doesn't actually notice I'm backtracking. Oh, bugger it. I'll just be inconsistent. I'm a woman. I'm allowed to be. Nathaniel, I forced myself to say calmly, I'd love to go out with you. Good. He looks unperturbed. How's Friday night? Perfect. As I grin back, I suddenly realize I'm hungry. I pull my plate of sea bream toward me, pick up my knife and fork, and begin to eat.